Hello and welcome to the special edition of Caregivers First. For this special show, we are calling this program Spotlight on Scan. I'm your host, Renee Maxwell, and today I have a very extraordinary guest. Her name is Flora Higgins. And in the interest of transparency, I do want to tell you, we share a grand cat. Welcome, Flora.
Thank you so much, Renee. As a longtime resident of Monmouth County, I have watched the growth of SCAN with a great deal of pleasure. It continues to give a lot of satisfaction to many, many people in the county. So
Thank you
we
very
appreciate
much.
SCAN.
And you are one of our instructors, and I take your class, and I really enjoyed the literature to which you've exposed us, especially the Scandinavian literature. Could you tell us a little bit about the Scandinavian literature?
Yes, my mother's favorite book was Kristen Lavensdatter by Sigrid Undset. It did win a Nobel Prize, but that's not why I like it. I like it because it's a wonderful story of a young woman who falls in love, who has a good marriage, a lot of children, some problems, and as life goes on, she retires to be a caregiver, actually, and eventually, well, I don't want to be a spoiler. So my interest in Scandinavian literature also comes from the fact that I am half Danish. My father was full-blooded Dane. So we have read a lot of Scandinavian literature, yes.
We certainly have, and you've also introduced us to Icelandic literature.
Oh, Independent People.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, Iceland, yeah. What a wonderful book that was.
Yes.
I love this class. The students actually read the things.
Yes, we do.
And their life experiences make them wonderful commentators on the content of the books we've been reading.
Well, you know, we've read some books that we were forced to read in high school and didn't have the life experience to understand. But now that we are adult, we read them with a new eye. And that's why I enjoy your class so much. Thank you very much. What is your favorite book that you have?
Still Kristen Lavensdatter, but The Sea Wolf, which we are currently reading, is running a second. It's eminently discussable, thinkable, and the class is responding well to it, and I'm very fond of The Sea Wolf by Jack London.
Yes, what a prolific writer.
Yeah.
Wonderful writer, and I'm enjoying The Sea Wolf as well. I have not quite finished it, but I am working on it. And how do you approach the students in the class, Flora? What is your method of teaching?
I don't want this class to become a book club where everybody talks about their in-laws.
Or outlaws.
Or outlaws, right. On the other hand, I very much value input, and the discussions become organic and move from there. So a set syllabus is not a good idea with the creative, well-educated, and thinking people that I'm teaching. But I do feel that I should introduce some educational matter also. So I do a lot of research about the books and bring it to the class when it seems appropriate.
Now, besides teaching the educated class, you also teach at Brookdale.
Yes.
And you've had some wonderful stories about Brookdale.
A different class kind of thing. This class this year is the best I've ever had. I've been teaching the Constitution for several years, and by the time they get out of my class, these young people know more about the Constitution, I think, than anyone else in Brookdale. I assign them an amendment, which they are to come back and report on, so the whole class. And this is where it gets tricky. Research in the past century was a matter of what can I find and where can I find it. In the 21st century, these students are totally bombarded with things of interest to their subject. And what they must learn is the art of picking out the most salient features of something. So that's what they do with that assignment. And then they're also assigned to propose an amendment that they might like to see. And we do a debate sometimes, and I enjoy those young people very, very much.
Can you tell me what is one of the more unusual amendments that they have proposed?
We haven't gotten that far yet. Oh, in the past, a year or so ago, a young woman who was here as a legitimate immigrant from Brazil, she proposed the amendment to extend the suffrage to people who were here not legally, which caused great horror in the class. Now remember, this is a research class, so they had to find some research to back up their opinion, which they did. And if you think about it, the original Constitution, the vote was limited to white men who owned property.
Yes.
And our evolving Constitution has been a story of extending the vote. So when she brought forth the research she said it would give them a stake in the country, skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the most unusual one.
Oh, very good, very good. And what literature do you use with your Brookdale students?
Sometimes Ambrose Bierce. This is not actually a literature class, so I don't use much literature. It's research writing.
Oh, I see.
And I have used Federalist papers, but it's not literature per se in that class.
I see. So what does the class consist of?
The students?
Yes. No, I mean the subject matter. You said it's not a literature class per se.
Oh, what they're in that class to do mostly is to learn how to research. It's actually called research writing. And there are three components of it. First is research, and the second is documentation. I consider them scholars. And I say, you are scholars, and when future scholars want to read your papers, they're going to want to know where you got the information from. And you must document it according to MLA standards.
Yes.
And we have a lot of trouble with that. I was teaching this for about 3 or 4 years before I realized that they didn't even know what MLA stood for.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, my bad.
And it stands for
Modern Language Association.
Yes.
And then the third part of it is writing, and most of them write pretty well. A requisite of getting into the class is a C in the writing course, so they have pretty good writing skills.
Right.
But they're wonderful. They're actually doing what they're supposed to do. They get to class on time, and they're good.
Wonderful, wonderful. I remember as a student, we had to go to the card catalog.
Yes.
And I remember students saying to me, when we went to the computer, oh, this is so much work. And I keep saying to them, work was a card and a pen.
Yes.
Now, how do you find the electronic availability of subject matter affecting your class?
It's a mixed blessing. When Sandy happened, in my 121 class, which is the original writing class, I was teaching that when Sandy occurred. I have them write journal entries. And when they were home with Sandy, they kept giving me all these wonderful long journal entries because they didn't have any power. So that was kind of fun. But it's a mixed blessing that they can just Google anything and get it. Whereas I like to find things in places I would not have thought of. In fact, one of my assignments is think out of the box. Mm-hmm. And I was upset when they gave away the New York Times at certain libraries, because you can just mill through them and find things you would not have found otherwise.
Yes.
And once you find them, then you go to the computer, and here's the good part. You get the instant things that appeared in the New York Times.
Right.
Whereas we used to have to, crank, and before that, I guess, leaf.
Well, I think many of our viewers will relate to the cranking on the film and whatever.
Yeah.
And running to the librarian to ask her to please help us.
Yes.
Our paper is due tomorrow.
Yes.
So, will you please help us?
Yeah.
What age range do you have in your classes at Brookdale?
I have seen a change. I used to get more students over 20, 21, returning students.
Yes.
And it's amazing the maturity between 18 and 22.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they've been somewhere, they've done something. Some of them have been in the service, some of them have children. But I see that less and less. I don't know what's that. Maybe my universe is very small. I only teach one course a semester, but
I think it's representative of what's happening.
Mostly teenagers.
Mostly teenagers, yes. It was a time when Brookdale invited people to come back and take a course and whatever.
That's right.
Good, very good. Well, I know that you are a poet at heart. And if you would share some of your poetry with us, I would think we would have a very enjoyable time.
I love poetry.
Yes.
There is no money in poetry. But as someone said, there is also no poetry in money. So it being spring, I think it's the third day of spring, I'll open up with my poem called Spring Cleaning.
Uh-oh.
This place is a mess. There is useless clutter and debris under my hair, like unread magazines under the bed. My legs need dusted and I should iron my face.
A lot of truth is spoken in poetry, Flora.
And then I have, this one was actually published, Where Mother is a Blue Tattoo. Where mother is a blue tattoo, there are hairy consonants and sweaty vowels, and a heart forever shy. Where mother is a blue tattoo, deep-frocked motorcycle nights rage at memories change. Where mother is a blue tattoo, yellow birds and a knife dripping red blood also move as muscles make a life.
You know, there's a truism to the adage that poetry must be heard.
Yes, yes.
A book must be read, a play must be seen, but poetry must be heard. And you're bringing us a great deal of enjoyment.
Thank you.
Another one, please.
This one's kind of fun. It's called Real Estate. The closing over, I asked the previous owner, any ideas for remodeling? Here is her reply. A can of kerosene and a match. Start in the attic. Generations of squirrels have come and not all the way gone. Burn it. The little bedroom is perfectly appointed for the baby who never came. Burn it. The master bedroom is haunted. Ghosts moan about despair, strife, and forgotten sex. Burn it. The living room and dining room will never recover from hoarder's fever. They are solid with stuff. Boxes, crates, bowls, shelves, closets full of stuff, 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 and more stuff. Do not let the firemen in. The kitchen is vintage Bakelite. It may need 2 cans of kerosene. But in the warm ashes you will find joy and peace. Here are the keys. But even when the locks work, they do not keep out or in the past.
You live in a very interesting home, since you had a poem about your home. Tell us a little bit about it.
And I write a lot of poems about food, and this one is called An Honest Onion. An honest onion is like a good wife, round and easy to hold, adding flavor wherever it goes. And like an onion, a good wife has many layers, but peel them away, she'll make you cry. Celery. I love celery. Such an honest vegetable. Grit on the leaves, dirt on the stalks, a message from home.
Very, very nice. We're going to have to take a short break now, and we're going to come back and hear more poetry.
Cool. All right.
And thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will be right back with our guest, Flora Higgins. Okay. So, if you're over 65, like me,
and active and fairly healthy,
being active and healthy alone will not protect you.
Remember, the immune system weakens with age.
And if you're over 65, ask your doctor about your vaccination options.
we want you to be healthy and active. Welcome back, and I'm hosting my guest Flora Higgins, who is a poet, and we must say that her last poem about the house elicited many remarks. I, for one, am moving, so I could really take everything that you said, and it's absolutely true. Okay, thank you. I would like to hear much more poetry, and would you favor us with another, please?
My son Stephen particularly liked the one about celery, and here's one I wrote for my sons. More food. First Christmas you were not at home, I made gingerbread boys. One cutter made 15 brothers. 2 currents gave them sight, 1 speech, 3 raisins buttoned them up. From the warm oven, spicy aromas filled the house as the magic worked. Out came one with a bent leg, dancing. Out came another, head cocked, winking. And another with an arm up, waving goodbye. Gingerbread boys are born to run away, and I would not catch them even if I could.
Oh,
Dear
that's
sons.
lovely.
Thank you.
I mean,
Licking the bowl. There is no poem as rich as a brownie. No mere words can titillate the tongue like a dark, moist, deep, and fudgy brownie. There are no similes as sweet as the sugar that speeds to our blood like love. No crafted image can arouse the senses the way the scent of warm chocolate starts that sudden ache in the glands. Oh, poet, write me a brownie.
everything you say is very true. I am experiencing this warm brownie. Lovely.
More food.
More food.
This one is called Just Desserts. Cakes do not take kindly to being peered at as they rise. Pie dough crust resents too much handling. So if you want those sweets, don't open the door too soon and go easy on the rolling out.
Even I, a non-cook, am enjoying these poems.
Now this one was very interesting because a friend of mine actually put it to music, and you talked about poems being born to be read, but this one was read on a piece of paper, and I wondered if she would, get it, the editor, but she did get it and printed it in a little book, anthology. A country western lament. You broke my heart when you did not stay. For you our love was just play, but I love you as deep and as strong as the day when we danced and kissed and went all the way. Wasting away in love's backwater, I can't get on living like I oughter. Wish you were here with me and our daughter. She loves you just like I taught her. A new love you have found. Our romance is dead in the ground, but over the grave and all around, cries from my broken heart still sound.
I can hear the guitar playing behind that
You
as
said
you're
it's a
singing it.
guitar.
Yeah, the twang of the guitar.
Oh, figuring things out. Seeing the horses grazing, rumps all one way to the shower. I know which way the rain comes from, while staying dry on the porch. Seeing the iron whale swimming atop the barn roof, I know which way the wind blows, without leaving the kitchen. Seeing the tethered boats pulling anchor lines taut in the harbor, I know how the current tugs them. As I sip wine at the bar and the club, even singing in the rain with you though, circling through the air with you, even safe in port with you, and even knowing all I know, I sometimes wonder which way it ends.
Oh. You are a boating family, are you not, Flora? Or you were a boating family?
Yes, and a farming family.
And a farming
We had
family?
boats and horses.
Ah.
Golden wedding anniversary drama. Already a prisoner of nature, nurture, fate, and my own choices. I struggle in this, the last act, to be me. He sees himself as the lead player, considers irrelevance an invasion from a hostile land, an old age, not just a different script, but a foreign language. He is not he, and I am not me, but somehow we are still us, waiting hand in hand for the curtain to fall.
Oh, that's lovely. I wish I had more vocabulary, but they're just lovely, lovely poems. And you just hit the meaning of them so beautifully.
This one people seem to like. I love old men. Salad days? Hell no. Garlicky nights, greasy delights. Bellies homey as apple pie, solid as a T-bone. Defy elastic, pleats, leather, and wives. Lined faces map the passage of souls. Smiles, squints, frowns, and laugh scars recall voluptuous nights, deals made, defeats endured, and conquests, real and imagined. I love old men. Old boy to old boy, in silence, they speak among themselves of the mysterious things they have known. Wires under hoods, pipes under sinks, women under them, wide-eyed. I love old men with their rusty toolboxes, heavy with unspent rage, joy, and tenderness.
Is it like you have experienced each of these things that you write about?
Most writers.
And you've never been an old man.
No, I've seen a few.
You've seen a few, all right.
If I were a bird, I'd be a cuckoo. Leaving my eggs for robins to raise, I'd fly away and raise hell. If I were a bird, I'd be an eagle. Evil of eye, clasping craggy cliffs, spending endless quarters on the Garden State Parkway. If I were a bird, I'd be a swan. Strong, serene, and sexy. All my life loving only you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Looking for you. Like Napoleon soldiering on through the vast heart of Russia, I was confident I could find you and save you. Like Amelia Earhart setting off without a radio, I thought I could find our way home. But confidence froze in the snow. And like the pride of France, I was broken. Like Amelia Earhart, I am lost with no way to call for help. And we are both very far from home. Ah, love in Cincinnati. Somehow, anyway, he'd really rather be in Marrakesh or Barcelona by the sea. But here he is in Cincinnati, just for the love of me. I've never been to Cincinnati.
You've never been to Cincinnati? But he's there waiting for you.
This came out of a poetry workshop because the prompt was, ask a question of someone you knew as a child. The poem is the answer. Okay. Did you know, Anthony Papalardo, that I loved you so? Oh, I could say no, that none of us at 12 cared a bit for girls. That I played second base, went home and ate linguine, and dreamed of double plays. Or I could say yes, that I looked for you from under my cap, squinting in the same sun that fired your hair, that I didn't eat for days, that I dreamed grown-up dreams of you. Anthony Pop. I actually Googled him.
And
he still
where
exists.
is he today?
I didn't pursue it. I tried, but I didn't pursue it. The states of love. In its solid state, love is a down comforter. Old-fashioned, beautiful, reliable, will keep you safe on the coldest nights, even when the heat breaks down. In its liquid state, love is melted red raspberry jam, glorifies vanilla ice cream, makes merry buttered toast. In its gaseous state, love is the wind, frolicking with the colt, lifting apple blossoms over shining meadows.
That's
Catherine
absolutely
liked that.
beautiful.
Catherine liked that one.
Yes, lovely, lovely.
To join this man and this woman, waltzing in very late from a wedding, my hair still pinned up on my head, we went very straight to bed. The heavenly bodies floated over our skylight. Suddenly, moonstruck, I sat up, pulled out the pins. Under that moonlit veil, we exchanged our vows again.
Lovely.
I'm almost done.
I don't want you to stop.
This is the boating days. Sitting here looking at the harbor. The Atlantic Highlands Yacht Club we belonged to for a while, and had a little sailboat. And one day I just went out and looked over the harbor, and this poem came to me. It's very rarely that a poem comes to anyone. Usually it's a little work. Sitting here looking at the harbor and hills of the highlands, I remember the days when all our sails were unfurled like the sails on those bright and breezy Sundays when you, our children, and I sailed around the hook, outward bound. Our sails are furled now, and we are en reach to a safe harbor. But I will never forget those sun and wind-filled days, white sails taut, Jenny ballooning, our wake widening, and you at the helm, headed for the open sea. They were great days.
We're going to take some time to talk about a poetry festival coming up.
Okay.
I know that you're
Then
very
onto the
involved in
poems.
that.
Actually, there's several.
There's several poetry festivals, all right.
Bring
because
them
these
up
air at
in,
different times.
In chronological order.
Okay.
That's going to be in April 12th. Okay, April 12th. A wonderful, wonderful poem that is particularly appropriate for people of our age. This, you need some miles on you to appreciate William Wordsworth's wonderful poem, Ode, Intimations of Immortality from Recollections of Early Childhood. Close reading is a rewarding and memorable experience. I hope you can come. It's Friday, April 12th at 11 a.m., Monmouth County Library headquarters.
All right.
It is suggested that you register.
I see. Do we have any more poetry festivals that we can look forward to?
Yes, indeed.
All right.
So glad you asked. On April 27th, from 1 to 4 at the Monmouth County Library Eastern Branch, is a program, an annual event put on by the Jersey Shore Poets, to which I belong. A great deal of effort has gone into making this program diverse, interesting. There'll be funny poems, there'll be sad poems, and we have professional poets come and read for a while. Then we read our poems, then we turn it over open mic, and that's where it gets to be so much fun, because you hear from the community what they have been writing.
And what's the date of this?
That is 4/27, April 27, Eastern Branch, 1 to 4. You don't need to register.
Right. And do you have one more?
Yes, indeed I do.
You're full of poetry festivals.
This poetry festival is in May. It's in honor of Mother's Day.
Oh, lovely.
And that will be May 18th. It's a Saturday from 1 to 4. The flyer copy reads, join us as we explore the challenges, heartaches, and rewards of motherhood through poetry. Poets Flora Higgins and Evelyn Hampton will conduct a reading, followed by an open mic for the audience to share their favorite poem, whether it was written by themselves or another poet. So I hope you come to all the poetry programs, because they're all absolutely wonderful.
Flora, you've brought a great deal of pleasure to our audience, and I thank you for sharing your poetry.
I've just enjoyed being here. And
Thank you very
for
much.
having
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And this has been Spotlight on Scan, and we have spotlighted a wonderful, wonderful poet and teacher, Flora Higgins. And until next time, Spotlight on Scan, maybe we'll put the spotlight on you. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.